Hi, afternoon.
Chef, shall we start, Chef?
Yes, yes, we can. We can.
Yes.
So
So,
I'll
very good
start.
evening. I'll start, sir. I'll introduce you to all,
Yep, sure,
and then you may take over. So, very
sure.
good evening, and welcome to our webinar, An Insight and Scope of In-Flight Catering. My name is Sheetal Kumbhare. I'm honored today to introduce the eminent chef Sudhir Arora. His stint in the hospitality industry has been extensive, beginning as an kitchen executive trainee at the Leela Kempinski, transitioning as JCDP at P&O Cruises, Chef de Partie at Unisa Hotels, moving on to become executive sous chef at Oberoi Flight Services, New Delhi, executive chef at Oberoi Group, executive chef at Oberoi Catering Services, Chennai, general manager, research and development at Amira Foods, production manager at Oberoi Flight Services, and currently going strong as regional executive chef at Travel Food Services, New Delhi. Chef Arora is trained in food safety, HACCP concepts, and food hygiene. Costing, menu planning, menu development, budgeting, concept building are his forte. Today's webinar will focus on in-flight catering. This catering system requires in-depth planning, organizing, and execution with precision during all stages. With his varied spectrum of experience and knowledge in in-flight catering, who better than Chef Arora to give us insight about this catering system and scope in the same field? Students, we would like to hear from you too. So you all your queries are to be typed in the chat box, which will be addressed towards the last 10 minutes of the session. Over to you, Chef. The platform is all yours.
All right. Thank you so much for the good introduction. Wonderful. So I'm audible to everyone, and I'm sure people can hear me properly. And video is okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So one change to what Miss Kumbari was saying, that instead of typing in your chats and addressing it last minute, maybe you can just raise your hand and we can talk during the interaction only. Let's make it a interactive session, not just me talking all the time.
Certainly,
Okay,
Chef.
as it is, I don't like to talk a lot. I just want to hear from you guys. Okay, is that fine with everyone?
Students, you may
Hello.
interact.
Yeah.
Of you may interact, students.
So when the students raise their hands, I'll unmute them at that time. Until then, they will all stay muted.
All right. All right. No worries. So, ठीक है. So, like Miss Khambari set the stage for today's this thing. It's about airline catering, and I've been there for about 14 years in all overall experience in the airline catering industry. I will take you through the industry and what it is about. How is it different from regular railways or maybe restaurant cooking food, and what all things we do differently in a in airline industry, airline catering industry. Okay, so one basic thing, very major difference in regular food which we serve in the restaurants or in hotels and what we do in the airline catering is the time lapse. In the restaurant, you order the food and it is prepared and it is served to you within few minutes, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, something. Whereas in the airline industry or in industry where cooked food has to be transported, logistics is involved, it is much different. The time is much longer. So if I tell you that the airline industry, airline catering, we start producing a meal for the airline intended to be served, let's say today afternoon 6 o'clock. We will start maybe previous night 12 o'clock or something. So that is about 18 hours before the actual consumption of the food. So you'll be surprised, isn't it? Why we need so much time? First is that the time we need is because we do a lot of large volumes. So when I was in the airline catering Oberoi, we used to do about 30,000 meals a day. So that means in 24 hours we will be serving about 30,000 meals, and that meal includes salad, maybe starter, main course, and a dessert, and sometimes a beverage also. Beverage mostly is obviously the Tetra Pak juices or Pepsi cans or some things like that. But sometimes they could be, if it's a VIP or a business class flight, it could be in-house beverages also. So that's also included. So when I say 30,000 meals, it means 30,000 desserts, 30,000 starters or salads, 30,000 bread rolls, or maybe a croissant or something like that, if it's a breakfast thing, and obviously the hot meal. Hot meal again is divided into three or four components, which is a rice, which is a protein, which is a vegetable. So you see, we have 7 or 8 different components to a meal itself, and to produce so much, you need time, you need to prepare, you need to plan, you need to action a lot of stuff, from mise en place to cooking to other steps. I'll come to the other steps as we go forward. So you are catching up with me. You understand what I'm trying to say. Anybody has a question till now or anything? Cool. I'll carry on.
Yes, chef.
Yeah, yeah. So how is it different from a restaurant or a hotel? Catering is one major difference I just told you, where logistics is involved. The food is prepared at one place and it is transported to another place. So it is prepared at a flight catering and it is transported from the flight catering to the aircraft which is at the airport. It might be just 1 or 2 kilometers, but still the food has to be transported. So when the food has to be transported, there are very basic things which we have to keep in mind. It has to be either chilled or it has to be kept hot. That is a basic hygiene for HACCP planning, right? Any food which you want to hold for longer time, it has to be either chilled below 5 degrees or it has to be hot above 65 degrees. Anything which is in between has to be discarded within 4 hours. That's right, isn't it? According to FSSI and HACCP norms, isn't it?
Yes, chef.
So when we are preparing the food for 30,000 people in a day, we cannot do it within 4 hours. We have to plan earlier. That's why we start 18 hours to 20 hours prior, and Visa Plus starts that time. Then later we start with the cooking. Then we go ahead and do a process which is called blast chilling. So any food which is prepared in the airline catering is blast chilled. What is a blast chiller? A blast chiller is a machine which makes the temperature, which brings the temperature of food from the cooking temperatures, like Indian gravies, 90, 95 degrees, 100 degrees also. Continental sauces, 85, 90 degrees. Proteins, 85, 90 degrees again. Eggs, 70, 75 degrees. All that temperature, it is cooked at that temperature. It has to be brought down to below 5 degrees within a span of 4 hours. So how is it manually? It's not possible. You cannot just keep putting ice and stirring. So these flight caterings have big machines called blast chillers. Blast chillers give a blast of cold air, and they are really very cold, and the food chills rapidly. Okay, that you have to calibrate it, and you have to make sure that the food is actually chilling between less than 5 degrees in 4 hours. That's how it works, and the purpose of the machine is that only. So when it's chilled, then you have to take it out and you have to portion it. Portion it means when you fly on an aircraft, see you get a tray of food on that. It has a salad, it has maybe a bread roll, it has a dessert, it has a hot food. So hot food will have rice and one dal or maybe chicken and one vegetable, sometimes a paratha along with it. Correct, isn't it? So you with me?
Yes, chef.
Yeah, yeah. So all that components have to be assembled in one container. Salad has to be put in one salad container for everyone. Equal amounts, quantities to be monitored, temperature to be monitored. Similarly, the bread rolls, similarly the desserts, similarly the hot food, rice in the center, gravy on the left or the right, and then vegetable on the other side, and top it up with the paratha and then pack it. So all that process has to be done with the food temperature under 10 degrees. But finally, when we are serving it, it is not cold, it is hot. So salads are cold, but the hot food is hot. That is another part which I will explain in a while. So when we are actually assembling all this food in the flight catering, airline catering industry, we assemble everything cold. Even the rice and the gravies are below 10 degrees. That allows us to extend the shelf life of the product beyond the natural shelf life. If we keep food hot, one, it is very difficult to handle hot food. You cannot assemble the rice and the gravy when it's hot. It may spill on somebody, somebody may get hurt or burned. When it's cool, it's easier to handle. Secondly, it is the most important part actually is it is giving a extended shelf life to the food. So the food which is kept cold below 10 degrees can be, which is cooked earlier, something like a gravy, Indian gravy or a continental sauce or a protein. If it is cooked to the right temperature and chilled properly, it can be kept for up to 72 hours. That is the study we've done. It is a scientifically proven thing. And cold salads, which are sanitized properly, fruits sanitized properly, they can be kept for more up to 48 hours without any problem. So when it is kept below 10 degrees. So that is the reason we prepare earlier so that we are ready with so much volumes. So we can cook them and we can assemble them easily and then send across to the airline on time. So far, okay. Any questions, any issues, any clarification, anybody?
Chef, the time taken in the blast chiller to
Yeah.
bring down the temperature. So
Hmm.
it takes all 4 hours or it's less than that?
So it depends first how much material have you put. If you put a lot of stuff, it will take 4 hours. It also depends on what kind of food have you put. If it is a thick gravy, it will take longer time. But it is something fluffy like a rice or a potato gravy, a potato aloo gobi type of vegetable, or a which has a lot of air, will take lesser time. Dense things take longer, so it may take 4 hours. Then we have to plan it in a way that you don't fill the containers to the top. Just put half of them, fill only half, and put multiple containers. So they chill faster.
So how big
So
is this blast chiller?
how big is the blast chiller? Blast chillers, if you've seen rational ovens, that full size,
Ration,
24 tray.
yes, that big.
So it is that size. You can fit in some blast chillers. You can fit in up to 3 or 4 trolleys. Also, those trolleys. So they come one behind the other, like a roll-in, walk-in, or something.
Correct.
So they can be varied sizes. Even small blast chillers with 5 or 6 trays also are available. If some places where the requirement is lesser,
Mhm.
those smaller ones can be kept.
Okay, sure.
So different models are available. Okay. So, okay, I was talking about the blast chilling and assembly of food. So once the food is cooked at different temperatures, it is kept inside the blast chiller. Sorry, it is kept inside the blast chiller and it is then allowed to cool. Within 4 hours, it's come down to 5 degrees temperature. That is according to the HACCP norms and also according to the food safety requirements of all different airlines and the government of India. So once that food is below 5 degrees, it is kept inside another cold room, a walk-in like we usually have in hotels, where it is ready to be portioned or dished out, as we call it. It is kept there, and then when we do that in small batches, the portioning. So what happens is I know we need 500 meals of biryani to be packed. So I cannot take the entire lot and keep outside and then just keep putting the biryani in the container and packing. So we take in smaller batches. Why do we do that? We do it because we want the temperature of the food not to exceed 10 degrees. So that is a mechanism we do. We take only smaller batches, maybe 20, 30, 50 portions at a time in small containers, take them out, portion them, put in the trays what we usually have for airlines, if you know, those small containers, aluminum containers which we get our food in, right?
Yes,
So we portion in those, and then again those portion containers are covered. They are again put inside another walk-in, because the food temperature has to be maintained. So every batch of 50 biryanis is packed. It is kept inside the walk-in. Another batch is taken. It is packed, and then that is again kept inside the walk-in with proper date marking, time stamping, expiry dates, expiry times. Everything is mentioned on the cover so that we know exactly what time it is prepared, and we give a shelf life to that, 48 hours, 36 hours, depending on what our requirement is. Maybe sometimes we do a day tagging also, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like that. So we know exactly when it was prepared, when it was portioned, and when it was going to be expired. So that is a kind of trailing or a check where we know which product or which batch has to go out first and which has to go out later. So which is we call usually call a FIFO system. So that is one way of doing it. Then what we do is similarly for fruits, for salads, for everything, we have that portioning systems and portioning areas dedicated where we do those jobs. And the ambient temperature of that area is again less than 13 degrees sometimes, where we do cold cuts or we do sandwiches. We that ambient temperature is less than kept lower so that the food does not spoil fast. All the facilities, actually, by the way, I should tell you, it's all air conditioned. So even the kitchen is air conditioned. We have a huge kitchen where we can make those 30,000 meals, but the entire kitchen is air conditioned. The temperature does not go beyond 25, 26 degrees at all. So that is how much the stress is given on time and temperature and hygiene. So if you look at these days, everybody is wearing mask, washing hands, gloves. So we at the flight catering were used to doing it since ages. Whenever we enter the kitchen, we are supposed to wash our hands. We are supposed to sanitize our hands. Wear a mask, wear gloves when we are handling food. So, and a very important thing is that when we enter the kitchen, we are supposed to change our uniform. The chef uniform or the kitchen uniform is not supposed to be taken out of the kitchen area. So, right at the entry, you'll have a change room where we put our civil clothes in, and then after that, it is a sanitized area where only we can go after we've worn our kitchen uniforms. Anybody coming from outside is given a overcoat like a PP kit these days. If you look at similar kind of coats we used to give people who are visiting us. Shoe covers were a must to be worn by visitors. Our shoes we were supposed to keep inside the unit only. We cannot wear those shoes outside and go. So those kind of hygienes we were following since a long time. Now everybody in the industry is following those norms again. So if recently, if you see, Indigo's released one video of Miss Tandoori, a tandoori sandwich, just 2 days back, I think. So it shows how much stress they give on the hygiene. It is shot in the Oberoi flight service where I used to work, and it shows how much stress we give on the receiving temperatures, on the staff hygiene, on the temperature of the food. So there is a question here because of the rapidly changing temperatures. One sec. Does the nutrition value of food get affected? No, the nutritional value does not get affected because it is not changing any composition of the food. It is just bringing the temperature from 85, 90 degrees to 5 degrees. So there is nothing being added to it or nothing being taken away from that, but it's just changing the temperature. And there's another question: does the food after these processes have any health effect? No, there is. This is not a process, or we're not processing the food in the strict sense of processing food. It is just trying to keep the shelf life of the food extended. And when you reheat to the right temperature, it has no effects at all. It is as safe as fresh food, and sometimes even better, because in the process of reheating, first chilling and reheating, any harmful bacteria which may have been there are destroyed anyway. So it is very much safe. Yes,
Good evening, sir.
some well. Yes, Coutinho.
Sir, I'm Valerian Coutinho. Sir, I had a
Yeah,
question. Will the customer have the
please.
same confidence while they eat? Do you think they'll have the same confidence during this COVID time while eating in in-flight catering?
If you are a informed customer or a informed person, like I'm telling you right now, the uh, norms which we follow now in the hotel industry of wearing mask and wearing gloves and sanitizing, and sanitizing our hands, vegetables, everything, these norms are being followed in the airline industry since ages, many years. I joined airline industry in 2001, and it was being followed that time also. So rest assured, airline food is much more safe to consume than any roadside dhaba or any product. I can assure you that. Okay.
Chef, so is the portioning, packing, and tagging all of it is manual, or it's kind of machinery used?
So most of it is manual. Portioning and everything is mostly manual in India because labor is cheap. There are a lot of people available. But tagging and all, there are systems where we can use a automatic system, printing of labels and all those can be automated. But Singapore Airlines catering in Singapore, SATS, if you know Taj SATS, so SATS is Singapore Air Transport System. They have a very robust automated system of portioning and labeling. In Singapore, we went to that unit to see. It was huge kitchen. They used to make about 1.5, 2 lakh meals a day, which is very big, huge. And they had all this automated. They used to put barcodes on the food product, and they'll go inside the walk-in and chillers automatically. Robots would put the food, and if you want, you just on your desktop you type the name of the food, and the robot will bring it out with the FIFO thing. So it will take out the meal which was kept inside earlier, and later it will bring the next batch. So a very robust system they had. So it can be automated also in India, but we have a manual
Manual.
system.
Thank you, Chef.
Yes, Valerin. Mr. Coutinho has another question, I guess.
Sir, as you started with the automated one, sir, do you think in future automation will have a negative effect on the industry? Like there will be less employment?
No, I think it will be rather the other way. There will be less employment for the unskilled people, but for the skilled people like you, it will be much better because you will be concentrating on your skills on producing good food instead of cutting onions, chopping tomatoes. You will be concentrating on plating, you will be concentrating on making good sauces, you will be concentrating on a nice presentation. So it's going to be better for you guys. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
There's a lot, and robot will not be able to take up your job at all. Rest assured. Taste of airline while cooking is less than that of normal food. Okay. While cooking, I didn't get your question, Mohammed. What do you want to say? Hello.
I think he just wants to
Oh,
say that airline food is much more blander when you happen to
Huh.
taste that?
Okay, I will tell you something about that. Okay, so what happens is in an aircraft, it when we go on the aircraft, it is 30,000 feet above the ground level. Okay, so what happens is the pressure cabin of the aircraft is pressurized. It has a air pressure. Okay, like we have air pressure on earth, it has a air pressure on in the plane cabin also. So that air pressure cabin is at least 5 times of what air pressure we have in on ground. So that means if we are breathing in the on earth maybe 1 kilo of air per minute and exhaling 1 kilo of air every minute, on the aircraft it is much higher, 3 to 4 times higher, 3 kgs in, 3 kgs out. So what happens is your sense of smell and your sense of taste becomes dull. It cannot you cannot sense food, or you cannot smell food, or you cannot smell actually anything, because so much of air is passing through your nose, and within that 1 minute. Okay, so what happens is it becomes like you have a cold, you've got a cold and cough. Like abhi bola na, they say that corona you lose your sense of taste and smell. It is like that. When you have a cold, you lose your sense of taste and smell. On the aircraft also, when you take off, it becomes like that. You lose your sense of smell and taste. So that is the reason that you lose your sense of sweetness and salty. So airline people who are experienced, they add little extra salt and extra sweet to their food. It is little more spicier. We add more spices to food than regular. Okay, so when you are on the flight, you will not be able to taste. If I make the food what we I am making on ground for you, same pasta, also same biryani, I will not, you will not be able to taste anything at all. It has to have little more salt. It has to have more seasoning to make it happen tastier on top. Also, there is a flavor called umami. If you are aware, you guys are aware. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So on the aircraft, that umami flavor is pronounced. It becomes more prominent. So that is why meals with tomatoes, with mushroom, with parmesan cheese, all those umami flavors are favored. Bloody Mary. There is a very classic example. Bloody Mary. Nobody will drink tomato juice on ground, but in the aircraft, people prefer a tomato juice because it is much more tastier on in the aircraft than it is on the ground. So you understand?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me. Ashton Saeed wants to say something.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Sir, as
Good
we know
evening.
that because of this COVID-19, airline business was shut down for more than 3 to 4 months. So I just want to know that to cover the losses, will the food quality be? Will the food? I mean, are the food quality getting compromised, or there are some other better ways to cover the losses of those 3 to 4 months?
So obviously nobody is going to compromise on the food quality. If they are in the business, serious business, they will not compromise on food quality. They will have to work on other things. They have to look for other avenues to make the good the losses. Maybe do more sales. Maybe do with less people. Maybe improve their productive profitability. But you cannot compromise on the food quality, because once you compromise with the food quality, then you will not get your guest back. Okay, you will have a problem all the way.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So there is another question, Siddhant. How food waste management is followed in airline industry? What happens to leftover food? So very interesting question. I'll tell you one example. First, whatever comes back from the aircraft, no, it is not consumed or it is not used again. It is discarded as waste. So we have composters in our facilities. where what we do is we have to compost all the food material. If you're aware, composters convert food waste into compost within few hours. We collect the food waste and then we put them in the composter and it converts into compost. Compost is used for fertilizers and things. And that is taken up by the government agencies, municipal bodies to be used in their programs. But what happens for every few weeks or months, these airlines, because it's a waste for the airline also, for our company also, it is a waste. Something which is not sold is a waste. So we do surveys. Whatever has come back, what has not been consumed, how much meals did we load, how much were not consumed. We do those surveys and we find out which are the popular foods. That is one way of menu designing. Then we also do, we see how many foods not consumed. So we calculate a percentage of people. If suppose 100 people are traveling, only 75, 80 people consumed. So 20 meals were waste. So next time we will take a conscious call. Maybe we will just load 90 meals. So we will save those 10 meals. So that is a constant exercise which keeps going, and we keep asking people for these things. That's how we work. Okay. Yes, Mr. Patel. Once again.
Sir, during this COVID, so what are your menu planning during this COVID? Like any healthy food or anything that is there which you are putting out in the menu, looking forward to the
Yeah,
COVID
yeah.
situation.
Yes. So a lot of salads and fruits and items which are not, garnishes like microgreens and all are not there anymore. Just to make sure that the customers have that confidence. Otherwise, not much has changed like that on the menu front. So we still have similar menus. Only things which require a lot of intervention by the crew on board are not given. We just give packed foods. So there's another question. As many airlines have started onboard chef service to their first class passengers, so do the food to all passengers prepared similar to others, or they have. So yeah, those first class, the chefs on the first class, no, they what they do is basically they just kind of finish the food. They will have semi-prepared meals, semi-prepared gravies and everything, and it will just be finished on board. It will not be completely cooked, but it's just last mile finishing which is done. Okay. Yes. Anything else? Hello. Hello.
Yes, chef, you may continue.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. 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 So this guy Arshan Said wants to say something, I think. Go ahead, Arshan.
So yes, sir. Sir, what are the criteria of getting into in-flight catering? Also, once we started getting into in-flight catering, is there any scope of growing or the growth is stable?
So criteria of getting into is hotel management and stuff like that only. If you're interested in production, you get into production side. If you are interested in operations, you get into operation side. And there is continuous growth only. I grew a lot during my stint in the flight catering, so I'm always it's a very good platform to work and experience bulk cooking and understanding how things work on a aircraft. It is a very different from a regular hotel job. You get to see so many different raw materials. You get to see so many different methods of cooking, and cooking is one exposure and experience which you get here, which you will not get anywhere else at all. So there are only few occasions in a normal hotelier's life where they will prepare food for 35, 40,000 people at a time. But in a flight catering, you do it every day. So you have that exposure. Okay. Arman Sheikh wants to say something. Arham Sheikh. So what's the question here? Yes, of course. All these restrictions are called as special meals. So we have dietary restrictions, halal, Jain, Hindu, some vegan, some people don't even eat cooked food. So we have a separate section of preparation where we prepare all these meals as per requirement and as per the restrictions, and we cater to them, and they are all marked. We have a separate area for allergens also. The foods which are dairy free, gluten free, they are prepared separately and tagged and kept separately from all other foods. So there is no cross contamination at all. Okay. All right. So I was talking to you about portioning of food. Okay. After the portioning, the food is then ready to be taken to the aircraft. So suppose I was taking the example of 6 o'clock flight in the morning earlier. 6 o'clock flight is ready to be served at about 4:30 in the afternoon. At about 4 o'clock, that food for that airline, the biryanis like I was telling you, they are ready to be taken. They will taken in a trolley, kept inside the truck, which is a special cold chilled truck, refrigerated van kind of a thing, which can go up to the height of the aircraft. So we call them high lifts. Those high lifts, we load them with the required food, and then that food is taken to the aircraft. It is loaded in the aircraft, and it is still chilled, kept at less than 10 degrees. So it's given to the crew, handed over to the crew. On board, what happens is those biryani are kept inside one oven. Each aircraft has an oven. So that food is kept inside the oven, and then that food is heated when the aircraft starts moving. It is heated, and then according to your preference, the crew serves you veg, non-veg, South Indian, North Indian, whatever you would have chosen, they will serve you. So that is a typical way of handling the flight catering food. Yes, bakery has a big scope. Yasser Nakuda, and there are a lot of people who opt for bakery, and specialized baking and confectionery are very much required. So any questions you may have, anybody?
Chef, what percentage of special food is considered on a daily basis?
Sorry, I didn't get
What
you.
percentage of special food or restricted food is considered to be made on a daily basis?
So
Do you
that's a
get
small
a lot
percentage.
of
Maybe no, maybe hardly, maybe 2%, 3%, not more than
so
that.
Indian air flights they provide kosher meal as well?
So yes, kosher meal is a very specific kind of a meal. We provide them, and kosher meals are supposed to be prepared in very strict laws of the kosher meal preparation, because uh, those are to be prepared in presence of a rabbi, and the norms which are to be followed have to be followed. So what we normally do is we get packed kosher meals from Israel, and we serve them to the passengers, although they are very expensive, but it is a value addition which we give to our airline clients, that kosher meals are available and we can provide them. So not everybody can prepare those kosher meals. It has to be done very specifically. There's a method to prepare those kosher meals. Even when you start lighting the fire, the rabbi has to start the gas stove or the fire. So, which we cannot do every day. That's why we buy packed kosher meals from Israel and we serve them.
Thank you, Chef.
So, there's another question. What if I'm working with an airline as a crew and later I want to join bakery? Yes, why not? Absolutely possible. If you've done your catering and you want to apply, you can go ahead and apply to any place, any catering company. They'll be more than happy because you have a understanding of the airline industry working as a crew. You know what how food is reheated or prepared or served to the guest. They'll be more than happy to accommodate you. So, any questions? Anything anybody has? Was it so boring that nobody wants to ask anything?
I think so. There's one question.
What if some festive season is going on, special meals are prepared? Yes, of course. Somebody wants a special meal, we prepare those special meals. Festive season, no festive season. Muskan, we do that. We do that. So, what is the difference between meals served in different classes? Okay, very good. The business class ticket from Delhi to Bombay is about 25,000 rupees, and economy class ticket from Delhi to Bombay is about 5,000 rupees at the most. Okay, so obviously when the ticket is so high, the price is so different, the meals are also very different. It is the menu is much better, the portion size are bigger, the items and raw materials used are better quality, and not only quality but also we use better ingredients, and we have a elaborate spread of menu than economy class. Economy class will have a regular meal, but business class will have more exotic offerings to represent the difference in price and of course the class. So when which airlines, some airlines have first class also. They have a much more elaborate menu. They at times used to have caviars also and lobsters also on the menu. They would serve champagne to their passengers. So it is differently menu. Who and how the menu get decided for flights? Okay. Mayuri Karande. So what happens is Mayuri, the menu is the airline approaches the flight catering. They tell us that we want a menu for our flight, and then we have a lot of questions to ask them. We ask them uh, what is the budget, what is the flight time, how long is the flight going to be. For example, Delhi to Mumbai is about 2 hours. It is in the afternoon or daytime or evening or late morning, depending on those things. And of course, what is the budget you want to prepare. Okay, so this is based on so many factors. Once we have answers for these, we prepare a menu, we give them the cost, and then the airline comes and tastes all that food, and any changes they tell us, or any budget reductions or any change, anything we want to do, they to tell us, we do, and then accordingly it is decided mutually by the airline and by the flight catering. So how frequently is the menu change for an airline? So all airlines have sets of menus. uh, Usually they have four sets which change every week. Some airlines like Jet Airways used to have six menus which changed every day. So there are set of menus which keep changing every day or every week, or some airlines have a monthly menu which change the international flights because passengers. So domestic flights, passengers are more frequent. They travel much more frequently than uh, international flights. So international flights have a longer menu. Same menu runs for a month, but domestic people travel very often. Delhi, Bombay, there are people who travel every second, third day. So that's why they have a menu which changes every day to make sure that they don't get bored of the food and they keep getting new items. So Drishya is saying, chef, should we have to do any specialization directly after doing hotel? No, no specialization is required. You can just apply to get into airline catering, and now a lot of freshers are taken to the flight catering because uh, we also want a lot of new people. Uh, s- they've been a surge in the number of meals, and the airlines also coming up. A lot of new airlines starting in next few years. We'll have more people. We will need more people that way.
Chef, if you could just inform us about the hierarchy levels in the system.
It's very much like a hotel, executive chef, sous chefs, CDPs, demi chefs, commis. It's very much similar to the hotels, not very different from hotels. Only thing is these are back of the house because we are working in the flight catering and not in direct contact with the guest. Only, otherwise, everything is same. And one more important thing is like working in a banquet basically. Your bulk production is there every day. You're producing large quantities, and you're having a party every day in your hotel. That's more or less about it. And then you have to follow those hygiene norms, those standards, safety and hygiene, and those standards. That's about more or less.
Thank you, Chef.
Ashan Said wants to say something again.
Sir,
Yes, tell me.
sir, suppose if I'm working into in-flight catering,
Hmm,
a very good position, but
hmm.
because of some reason, if I had a dispute with an organization, so if I decided to leave that organization and try to join the another organization, so if will I start from the same position, or will I start from the same position on which I left that previous organization?
Yeah, so it's just like you change your job. You move from one company to another company. When you go to another company, they see how much experience you have, what was the last designation, what were you doing earlier. Based on that, they offer you a new designation or a job. So it's like that. Nothing, no changes.
So, sir, I will start from the same position, right?
Yeah, whatever the position you were in, like last position you were a CDP, you will get a CDP job. Maybe if you are good enough, you are able to convince the people, you will get a junior sous chef or something like that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Maksud is saying, I just want to ask that is catering service running in full fledged like before because some airlines don't have any catering service. So all airlines are now having catering service. The government has allowed catering, but because there are not many flights, international flights are not there too many, and their domestic flights also a few of them are operating. So there is not much business right now. But we are expecting that middle of December, all these airlines are going to start again. So then we will have a larger business. So there are two questions. Bulk cooking, in case there is some mistake while preparing a dish, how that particular dish can be rectified. So if there is a mistake in preparing a dish, suppose you add more salt or you add more masala, that thing can be rectified by adding or reducing some things or re-preparing. But if you burn something, it cannot be repaired. If you spoil something, you cannot repair that. It has to be discarded like all other places. There is no other way. Hmm. All right, Aslan, Arsalan. So Karuna is saying, I just want to ask that do holidays or any cancellations impact? Yes, of course. If there is a holiday season coming up, like Diwali is coming up, we will see before Diwali a lot of orders, lot of people traveling. But during Diwali, one day before and after Diwali, there will not be many people traveling. So that time orders will be lesser, and flight cancellations also affect us, like if there is a bad weather or there are some cancellations due to some reason, all these things do affect us, of course. And there is a very robust system of ordering food, and the airlines follow that ordering because it's a cost for them. They make sure that anything they order does not is not wasted. They follow historical data. They have, the airline is running for so many years. They know last 10 years on Diwali, 80% people did not travel. Their seats were empty. So they did not want any food. So they will not order food on Diwali day for those flights. Or for example, when we get during Navratra, we see a lot of people who are fasting. So they will only order fruits. So these airlines will ask for extra fruits to be given to them. So they have that data and they work on a very systematic scientific approach to order food. Airline industry, jobs in airline industry, you can get airline catering industry. You don't need any land experience to get into the aircraft crew. I'm not sure. To become a chef on airline aircrafts, you need some land experience. 3 to 4 years of experience you need. Take care, Mohammed Sadiq. Got it? Any questions anybody has? Good, good. So I was telling you about the hygiene and the HACCP norms which we follow, wearing of gloves, masks, sanitization. All that is mandatory. Now everybody is doing it, but airline industry has been doing it for many years. So the airline food is very safe to consume. When you go on an aircraft, it has all the safety precautions are taken and made sure that the food which is prepared is very, very hygienic and safe. Even so, we get auditors from all across the world who come and check our facilities, who check us for all the requirements, and we see that there is no compromise on the quality. There is one question again. Any quality change in food compared to business class economy? I told this some time back, Sadiq, that business class people pay extra money, lot more than what economy passenger is paying in terms of ticket price. So they are given little wide variety of food. They are given more choice of food. Their portion size is little larger, and they are given extra things in their food. In the economy, you may have just a salad or starter, dessert, and main course. But for business class, you may have choice of salad, choice of starter, choice of dessert, main course, maybe 3, 4 different varieties, and more exotic food. So economy, you will not give Thai red curry or pad Thai noodles or something exotic. But for business class, you can give that also. So that is the basic difference. The meal choices are much more than economy. Economy is just veg or non-veg, whatever the menu is decided. But business class can be Asian veg, Conti veg, it can be something else also. So choices are more. So all in all, airline catering about food. Yes, I do get lot of complaints. Not lot, but I do get complaints. And when we get the complaints, we try to find a root cause. Root cause is basically how and why did that complaint occur. So it could be a quality related issue, that the food quality was not good, or it was spicy, it was bland, or something like that. Or it could be a temperature related or a hygiene related issue, that the food had gone was spoiled, or the food did not taste good, or there was some other issue. So we try to find out the root cause, and then there is a quality assurance department which does all these testings, all these checkings of food every day. Whichever batch is produced, they check the temperature, the microbiological testing is done, and so they can trace out each batch of food which is prepared. The biryani which we prepare today will can be traced out even after 6 months also. Who prepared it? What time was it prepared? What temperature was the chicken cooked? What temperature was the rice cooked? Who portioned it, where was it kept, which flight it was given to. All the traceability is there. That a big department for record keeping. So if we get a complaint, we can monitor it and we can verify who made it, what happened, what would have gone wrong. How are the working hours? It's normal 9 hour shift for people. It is not very bad. So vegans are being. So we have a different section for special meals. I just told some time back. Vegan meals are also part of that. So there are different sections of kitchen which have which is veg only or non-veg only. Veg prep is there, then veg cooking is there, veg portioning is there. All these things are taken care, because we cannot afford to have chicken piece inside a veg biryani, or a the other way. So all that precautions are taken. Even sometimes some airlines demand that the cooking utensils we use are kept separately for veg and non-veg. That is followed. uh, Whenever we prepare food, we have a different set of utensils for veg, non-veg, even some halal food, vegans. All that segregation is there. Allergens. Allergen is a very big concern for airlines. So we have a separate section where we do these allergen meals: peanut free, gluten free, dairy free, vegan, meat free. So all that is well taken care of. Yep. So I think I've been able to add some value to you and explain to you how airline catering industry works, and any other questions you may have, Miss Kumbhari, if you may have anything to add on or ask.
I too am waiting for a few questions, and
Yeah, sure, sure. So Indian catering industry is coming of age. We are growing, and we are seeing a lot of new airlines coming in next few years, and a lot of new airlines from abroad also coming to India. So we will see that in next few years there will be a surge in airline catering industry. Right now it is little dull, but next few years it will be doing fantastic, and it is a very good place to work, especially these flight caterings. Kailash, I used to prepare around 25 to 30,000 meals per day. So out of Delhi catering unit. Now it is little low, much lower, but another couple of months we'll be back to that, I think. So best part of airline catering is it teaches you the importance of planning, importance of hygiene, and you have to actually chalk out your day properly to make sure that you meet each deadline. Each airline has a time schedule. Aircraft has to leave at that time. You cannot delay that. So you have to plan from that to your mise en place. Everything has to be planned. It has to be chalk on. You cannot have uh, 5 minutes here, there will not work. Like in the hotel, if you are getting delayed, you'll go to the guest and say, sorry, I'm giving you in 5 minutes. But here you cannot do that because each minute the airline is at the airport, they are charging a huge amount of money. So they cannot wait beyond their speculated time. So that's why we have to be very particular on timings, on deadlines, on planning. Yes, Valerian.
Sir, at any time it has happened that the catering has been delayed and because of which the flight was delayed or anything like this?
So what happens is if in such case, no, we are catering to so many other airlines. For some reason, if I'm not able to cater to one particular meal of the airline, we will work little smartly and give them something else. Instead of delaying the flight, we will just give them something else. It is better to give something which is not on their menu, or change their menu rather than delaying the entire flight. So if such a case happens, we just simply change the menu. It's not so easy, but it happens. We cannot avoid sometimes, so we do that. Future of in-flight catering after the pandemic, it is very much they're going to be there. Nothing is going to change. Only thing is there is a small setback limit, this thing. Otherwise, nothing is going to change. Like I said before, COVID and after COVID, nothing is going to change in the long term. Only short time this thing is there. Um, Roadblock or a speed breaker is there, which will be taken care of in maybe next 8 to 10 months. Not even actually 8 to 10 months, 5 to 6 months, we will be back to the original levels, or maybe even better, because now a lot of people who never had taken a flight have tasted the flight and they've seen how convenient it is. So maybe they will just use the airways rather than trains and buses. So Indian aviation sector is anyway going to grow. There are studies which have said that there's been researches which say that the Indian aviation is going to grow much faster than anywhere in the world. Only this pandemic brought up a little slowdown. Otherwise, it's going to be, growing up and up.
Chef, I see no more questions coming. Yeah, there's this one.
What's the best airline catering organization? I worked for Oberoi, so I know only Oberoi's. But there is Taj, there is Sky Gourmet, there is Ambassadors, there are regional catering companies also, Casino. There's so many places where you can get. Chef, should we have to do any specialization and not directly after hotel management to get into? No, no, no specialization is required to get into airline catering. Like in a regular hotel job, you go and apply, you can apply to same job here as well in the airline catering industry. So no specialization is required. Yes, Mr. Said or Arshan Said.
So, sir, suppose if I had done my specialization in front office and housekeeping, and then later I changed my mind and decided to go for airline catering, so will they take me for the job or not?
So airline catering is not only production; it is also operations, how we call it, which is F&B service. So if you have a front office or a service background, you can apply to for the operations job.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
It's time, Chef. I think so. We should end the session here.
All right, all
So
right.
I'd like to say something, as in I
Please.
agree with whatever you have said, Chef, particularly about that there is no opportunity of deviation or scope of flexibility as far as airline
Hmm.
catering is concerned.
True. True.
They are all preset and should be strictly adhered to. Hygiene and time being very important factors.
Right.
So no delay is acceptable. And I'm sure our students have gained valuable knowledge from your talk today. So here we come to an end of the session. I would like to thank Chef for the valuable time dedicated to us, sharing his expertise. Also would like to thank our principals, Dr. Chef Rukshana Bilimoria, Chef Harish Suvarna, and HOD and course coordinator, Chef Simon Dias, for motivating us by extending their support to conduct such worthy webinars. My deepest gratitude to Ms. Kainaz Dastur, Ms. Kranti for the technical support. Thank you all for being a part of today's session. Bye, take care, stay healthy, stay safe.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Chef.
Thanks. I hope I was able to add
Yes,
some
Chef.
value. Yeah.
Absolutely, Chef. We
All
all
right.
had a wonderful time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.